If you've ever been intrigued by the idea of playing Grand Theft Auto but in the shoes of a child, then this is the game for you. Bully is hilariously offensive, and I hate to say it, but it probably wouldn't see the light of day if someone tried to develop it now. We play as Jimmy Hopkins, a 15-year-old sent away to boarding school for a year at Bulworth Academy because we keep getting expelled from every other school. Bully doesn't have any missable achievements, so I decided to just tackle the story and then mop up the rest of the achievements afterwards. I started with a meeting with my new principal, who told me to stay out of trouble before making my way to the boys' dorm and immediately learning the ways of schoolyard hand-to-hand combat. Then once inside the dorm, I met my new best friend Gary Smith. Gary kindly gave me a tour of Bulworth, even helping me get my first kiss along the way when I returned this young lady's stolen box of chocolates. At the end of the tour, I was introduced to the different cliques of the school: the nerds, preps, greasers and jocks. As a side note, do you not think this guy on the right looks like a cave troll from the first Lord of the Rings film? I attended my first class, and if only chemistry lessons were this easy in real life. More senseless violence followed that, and I even horrifically disfigured this poor guy by chucking a firecracker at him, a reward for my chemistry efforts. My prize for this was the trusty slingshot. But before I could put that to use, I had to go to my English class, and I wish anyone with dyslexia the best of luck with these. After tormenting some football players with my slingshot from a tree and then participating in the least intense game of keepy-ups the world has ever seen, I befriended the homeless man who lives on campus behind the school bus, and he trades radio parts for combat training. I then had gym class and unlocked my first achievement for completing 3 lessons. I did another good deed for the ladies, returning a stolen diary before going back to what Jimmy is good at. And whilst trying to walk someone safely back to their dorm, the clock passed curfew time, so with the finishing line in sight, a prefect came out of nowhere and dropped some jujitsu on my date. After a good night's sleep, I defended a nerd with my slingshot whilst he gave a rousing speech, and then it was time for Halloween. Now, Gary chose an extremely questionable costume for the night, but we headed out and got to work tormenting the rest of the school, covering students with eggs, itching powder, and lighting some fireworks amongst a small crowd of my peers, just trying to have a nice time. And once we had acquired some dog poo, we headed inside the school and pulled off a classic prank to end the night, lighting the bag on fire in front of the staff room and pulling the alarm. The next day I completed another English lesson, my 6th class in total, and unlocked my second achievement. And then Gary wanted to show me the school's basement. He led me through the various rooms and tunnels until we came to this makeshift UFC style cage. Gary decided he didn't actually like me and assumed that one day I would betray him, so sent in the bully's henchman Russell to sort me out. Fortunately, I'm already a certified expert in hand-to-hand combat, so came out on top, earning the bully's respect. It also turns out Russell is more gentle giant than thug, so we put aside our differences and became buddies to try and restore peace at Bulworth. But I take my education very seriously, so I first attended biology class, dissecting a rat with surgical precision and earning another achievement for completing my 9th lesson. I entered a boxing tournament at the Preppies gym, and after wiping the floor of the competition, won a lovely lighthouse. Sadly, Gary was up to more shady business and accused me of saying various things about the Preppies, causing them to attack me at every opportunity. So I took some time away from that chaos to run some errands, such as fishing for crabs with my bare hands and delivering food in this swanky outfit. I also worked on my driving skills by mowing lawns and finally doing some paper routes. In fact, I ended up just doing all of the paper routes in a row, so I picked up that achievement. To further sound my relationship with the Preppies, I went on a hot date to the carnival with Pinky, a member of their clique. And whilst there, I completed each of the 4 carnival games at least once, which was another achievement. Although this one didn't actually pop until the next time I booted up the game, and that's a bit of a common bug with Bully, it seems. With my hard-earned tickets, I was able to buy a teddy for Pinky, and then had a look around at some of the other interesting characters lurking at the carnival. First of all was the dwarf, who has a vendetta against garden gnomes, so I promised to help her out and smash every gnome hidden around the map. These are one form of the collectibles in the game, and I saved that adventure until much later on. Next is the freak show, and I don't think you're likely to see anything like this in games these days. From the fat ugly bearded woman to the boxing dwarfs and the screaming man in his padded cell. It's quite the experience. My buddy Petey gives me the idea of challenging the Preppies champion Biff to a winner-takes-all boxing match, and again I make light work of him, but sadly the rest of his gang have a hard time accepting me as their new leader and instead disregard all honour and pile up on me. Unfortunately for them, they haven't heard that I've been participating in combat training with the homeless war veteran on the school grounds. This marked the end of chapter 2 and with it my next achievement, although I had just one thing left to do with the preps. Dr. Slaughter, the biology teacher, was not very happy that within their clubhouse lived a giant Venus flytrap, insisting that he must own the biggest, so he sent me off on a mission to infiltrate their house and deal with it. In order to gain access though, I first needed to disguise myself as a preppy. And despite loving my new look with the fashionable sweater and the fresh haircut, this didn't really make sense to me considering I'd literally just beat them all up and been crowned as the new leader. The game probably expects you to have finished this mission before the end of chapter 2 then. Regardless of that little plot hole, I found my way to the top and using the standard issue poison gun, blasted the plant to death. And after that, lovely snow covered the ground and festive decorations lined the halls as I woke up on Christmas morning, and nothing screams Christmas like helping drunk Santa take revenge on the townies that torment him. I helped out this poor guy stuck in the toilet stool without paper, and that was my 10th errand, so another achievement done. And then drunk Santa needed some more help, this time stopping an imposter who has been stealing his business. So I headed to the town square armed with a baseball bat and destroyed the imposter Santa's set, giving our friend Santa the monopoly on photos. I took part in a school play which was basically 5 minutes of Xylophone Hero and won the nerd challenge by beating the high score on this arcade game, earning the bottle rocket launch as my prize. Next, I met up with the leader of the Greasers, Johnny. Now, Johnny suspects his girlfriend is cheating on him with a prep, so I'm hired to take pictures and prove it. Unfortunately, his suspicions were correct, so he asked me to lead him to an abandoned BMX park so he can beat him up. A brawl breaks out in which I help the Greasers and earn their trust. That trust doesn't last long though, because I immediately backstab them by spraying graffiti all over their turf, so they challenge me to a bike race. Obviously I win because there's literally nothing I can't do, and this impresses Lola enough for her to make a move on me, and that's all it takes to have me wrapped around her finger, and I promise to go get her items back from the Greasers' hideout. I succeed in my quest after fighting off a sledgehammer wielding henchman, but then she dumps me anyway. I decide to go after Johnny again to put an end to all this fighting over Lola, and end up trapped in a junkyard. Johnny may have a bike and be wielding a pipe, but he is no match for me walking the circle and spamming slingshot at him. Johnny tells me I can have Lola since I won the fight, but I'm now above that, so turn down his offer ending chapter 3 and unlocking the junior achievement. Christmas is over, the snow has melted away, and the jocks have come out of hibernation, and after they give Petey a hard time, I decide they're my next target. But before I get to them, I feel like doing some community service, so hop on the lawnmower and with them all now unlocked, finish up the rest for the achievement. To take down the jocks I need some help in the form of the nerds. They aren't too keen on this idea though, and I have to convince the nerd leader. I find out the location of their headquarters with the help of my fists, and then I make my way through the area behind the back of school, running through what feels like a very low budget version of Takeshi's Castle, ending with a standoff against a mounted potato cannon. I take it out and make my way inside, defeating Ernest and winning him over. Unfortunately, Ernest has some questionable intentions as he convinces me to take some sneaky pictures of the head cheerleader Mandy. From the subtle cheer practice photo to the not so subtle shower snap, either way, we give him what he wants and then discover 2 of our nerd friends need saving at the carnival. I make my way to the funhouse and absolutely destroy some jocks with the bottle rocket launcher before guiding the nerds to safety. But only after I got one hit by a spade and forced to start the entire mission again. But we got there eventually. I also get a go on the mounted potato cannon to fend off a jock assault on the observatory hideout, and find out the pictures I took have now been printed and stuck all around the school and town. So I do the noble thing and hunt them all down, covering them up with some graffiti. This pleases Mandy and she now likes me. I can't keep up, I think she's like my 6th girlfriend at this point. Ernest finally comes up with a good plan, sabotaging the big football game. First, I need to steal the mascot costume to infiltrate the jocks. I torment the mascot whilst dodging the entire football team, and with the help of the nerds, lure him into the empty swimming pool before unleashing my MMA skills and claiming the costume. I learn the mascot dance, which gets the jocks to leave me alone at the small cost of some blaring air horns and rattling cowbells. With my new disguise mastered, I start to sabotage the football team with a series of pranks, rigging the ball with explosives, supergluing the benches, peeing in the water cooler and throwing marbles all over the field. Between each one I bust out my dance moves to avoid raising suspicions. This only works for so long though, because after messing with the scoreboard the jocks have had enough and call me out for a fight. I work my way through the football team's defence, launching explosive balls at them in the driving rain as the rest of the school just sits and watches. Eventually I'm able to take down the captain Ted and do my best impression of Russell Crowe in Gladiator. I'm the king of the school now and loving life. I even get another achievement for finishing chapter 4. My friends convince me that I need to pull off a spectacular prank, encouraging me to graffiti the town hall. I do so and come back to school to find chaos has broken out. Everybody now hates me, the library is full of rats, and the gym is burning down. I exterminate the rodents with my slingshot and save the gym before being told the leader of the greasers, Johnny Vincent, has been imprisoned at the local asylum due to his anger problems and paranoia. Being the stand-up guy Jimmy is, I climb over the fence and into the facility. Finding the laundry room, I pick up a uniform and no longer need to sneak around, pressing the button to open up the doors and releasing the inmates. Johnny tells me that the townies are the reason he got locked up, and I go to confront them in their hideout. They become the latest victims of my bottle rocket launcher, and I claim their hideout as my own. I meet Zoe, who has been expelled, and together we pull a prank on the teacher who made some inappropriate advances on her and then got her kicked out of school. Then, while smashing up a warehouse, I unlock the achievement for covering 100 kilometers on foot total. At the end of the mission, I get another achievement for staying out a total of 5 hours after curfew. I catch the townies in the act of boxing up rats and confirm my suspicions that they are behind all of the recent chaos. Sadly, I can't convince the other students, and it turns out Gary snitched on me for writing the graffiti on the town hall. I'm expelled for my antics whilst Gary Brown noses his way to head boy. I continue my investigation of the townies and, with the help of Russell and a stolen police motorcycle, break into their hideout. I work my way through the abandoned chemical plant and, using some lead pipe to recreate an epic lightsaber duel with Edgar, their leader. I defeat him and earn his respect as well as the rest of his clique. Zoe tells me a full-scale war between all the cliques has now broken out at Bullworth. Russell and I work through the school hunting down the leaders. The greasers are vandalising the girls' dorm, the nerds the gym, and the jocks the library, whilst the preppies are relaxing at their hangout, just enjoying the chaos. After beating them all up and asserting my dominance, I just have one person left standing between myself and redemption, Gary. I chase him up the bell tower whilst dodging his literal murder attempts before scrapping out on the scaffolding. We crash through the skylight and into Crabblesnitch's office. Crabblesnitch overheard all of Gary's gloating during our ordeal outside and proceeds to right most of the wrongs that have taken place over the storyline. Myself and Zoe are reinstated at Bullworth, Gary is sent packing, the dodgy Mr. Burton is fired, and our buddy Petey is made head boy. With peace and order restored to the school, I walk outside to an adoring cheering crowd. The main storyline is now complete and I'm truly the king of Bullworth. But my mission isn't over just yet. I've still got a lot of miscellaneous achievements to mop up and the real grind is just beginning. I head back to the carnival to take on the go-kart track. These are pretty straightforward but actually quite fun, and I picked up the achievement for finishing half of the races, which unlocked more kart races in the town. And once I'd tackled those, popped the achievement for winning all go-kart races. There's one more race related achievement to finish, and that's all 14 on a bike. Light work for Jimmy. Next I return to campus and start laying down some smooth moves. I need to receive 25 kisses from the ladies, but there's a few achievements that can be tackled together. I did make a bit of a mistake though, so anyone planning on going for this should avoid doing what I did. Basically, one achievement requires you to pick 50 flowers. This is simple enough, but you can only hold 10 at a time, so the smart thing to do is to give them to girls, get your kiss, and then repeat. The problem is, once all art classes are finished, you no longer need to give flowers to receive kisses, and the ladies no longer take them from you. Luckily, there are a couple of the guys who will still accept flowers, and Jimmy doesn't discriminate, so after a bit of grinding and juggling, I unlocked achievements for getting 25 kisses from the ladies, 20 from the gents, and picking 50 flowers. This would have been a lot quicker had I not waited until after I'd completed Art 5 though. I made my way into town and bought 100 sodas, as any normal person would do, and then egged 25 cars. I finished the final side mission, which popped the achievement for completing every mission in the game, only after I restarted my Xbox though. Then I returned to tormenting my peers on campus, first using 100 taunts, then beating up my 200th opponent, and giving 50 wedgies. I used the chemistry set in my room to make stink bombs and threw them at 50 people before taking the football behind the bus and kicking it 100 times. Finally, I tripped 25 students with marbles. I wasn't the only person doing the bullying though. All around me were kids being beaten up, clubbed with baseball bats or stuffed into bins. And then back at the carnival I broke 300 bottles at the shooting range and then hopped on my skateboard and did some sightseeing until I'd travelled a total of 50,000 metres. I popped 200 wheelies on my bike and then got back to completing errands. Again, my life would have been easier had I completed these as I went through the story because I did ignore a lot, but I was silly and lazy. So randomly you'll be approached and asked to help out in the simple quick task, and once done they're ticked off forever and in total there are 50. The most needed for an achievement is 30, but 40 plus is required for the 100% completion. I've actually seen the number debated online though. Either way, I did a variety of tasks such as rescuing escaped inmates, reclaiming a stolen teddy, and helping a homeless man find his meds, and I unlocked the achievements for completing 20 and 30 errands. At the carnival, I beat the high score for the 3 arcade games, and these are more of a test of patience than anything. And with all my money from errands and missions, I visited the clothing stores, buying 250 items in total. At this point, I had 2 achievements left, so I hopped on my bike and eventually travelled a total of 100 kilometers, which left me with just the one for reaching 100% completion. I still had quite a few miscellaneous tasks, and I won't go into all of them, but the longest was the collectibles, the rubber bands, trading cards and gnomes. Luckily, I had all of these on the map as a reward for completing all of the geography classes, and with those out the way, I swam to this hidden beach spot and beat up a pirate just trying to mind his own business, unlocking his hat. I finished up the carnival by buying all items from the shop. The quickest way I found to get tickets was repeatedly dunking the dwarf into the water tank. The reward for finishing all photography lessons is double tickets from carnival games, so definitely worth saving until that is done. I completed a few other tasks such as filling the yearbook, and then once I realised all I was missing was buying the rest of the clothes, I picked those up, nearly running out of money in the process, but unlocking the final achievement for reaching 100% completion. In total, Bully took me around 25 hours to 100% from zero, and while some of the miscellaneous tasks got rather boring, the main game is amazing. It's hilariously offensive when we're unlikely to see another game quite like this ever released. There are some bits I didn't show in this video, but I didn't want to spoil absolutely everything, because I'd recommend anybody who hasn't played this to do so, although maybe not go for 100% completion. Anyway, that's the end of this video, and it's been a long time coming, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.